So we're going to return to looking at search engine optimization. And I think it's worth stressing again the point that search engine optimization is about making it easier for search engines to figure out just what your page is about, so that if someone is looking for that page, it can match you up with them. It's not about trying to trick the search engine into ranking you higher than you deserve. And in general, even if you could trick it, it would probably only be a short-lived gain. You would eventually end up getting what you deserve, or being punished by the search engine and sent to the back of the queue. So you can use the meta tag to provide a description for what's on the page. And that can be useful. One of the problems with the meta tag, though, is that it's been so abused that a lot of search engines don't even bother with it. So it depends. Because you would have had situations where someone was, someone with a bicycle shop in Cork would have put in the meta tag every county in Ireland. So if you searched for bicycle shop Donegal, you might have found the bicycle shop in Cork. And the person in the bicycle shop in Cork thought, well, that's great because I've increased my traffic. But like, people aren't going to come from Donegal to buy a bicycle in Cork. Or, you had really, crazy hypotheticals where you might have had, bicycle shop in Cork, and in the meta tag you've got like free porn, free porn, free porn. I mean, that's not much use either, Someone's looking for free porn and they think, oh, well, I might buy a bicycle instead. That's, no. So there's no point in even trying to get customers that don't want you. You want them, they don't want you. So there's no profit in that. Now, you can improve the structure of your URLs. The URLs are displayed in the search results for starters. So it gives you an extra opportunity to grab someone's attention. If there's 10 pages there. If your URL can convey some information that might, convince them that you have what they want, that's useful. And also it can help the search engine figure out what's really important to the page. So if the page is about how to change a bicycle tire, and the URL is actually how-to-change-a-bicycle-tire. If someone is looking for how to change a bicycle tire, well, the search engine is going to think, you know what, this page is really, this page has really nailed that. Even the URL is about those keywords. So if you have bicycle tire in the keyword, and if you have the keywords like bicycle tires in the URL itself, that's going to push that page a bit higher if someone is looking for information about bicycle tires. The pages themselves would be identical if you had, dansbikeshop.com/74219.html and dansbicycleshop.com/bicycletires.html. Even if the pages are identical, the fact that you have bicycle tires in the URL is going to help. So use words in your URLs rather than numbers or cryptic things. I'm a devil for doing like page 01, page 02, page 03, page 04, page 05, rather than keep track of all those other things. But that's not good from a search engine's point of view. You want to create then a good directory structure also. So if conceptually your content, or if your site's content, you've got like a main page and then you've got 5 sections coming off of that, you could have 5 subdirectories for each of those sections. And there can be some information contained in there. So, if you have Dan's bicycle shop /bike maintenance /gears blah blah blah.html. It suggests that there's a connection between the bike maintenance and the gears, and that the gears is a subsection of the bike maintenance. So if someone is looking for information about, maintaining their gears, that URL has information that the search engine can use. The search engine is desperate for any clue as to what the page is actually about. It's important too to provide one version of a URL. I think of an example of this here. Examples of lots of things. Okay. So, for example, best albums of all time as a subdirectory, as a folder, is better than just a number. Even if the pages are identical, if there are keywords in the URL, that's going to help with the ranking of the page. Here we have the issue where we have site.com and www.mysite.com. Any good mojo that this page has is going to be split. So you might find that both of these pages would appear one after the other, maybe, say 5 pages in Google, whereas if it was just one page with one URL, it might be on the first or second page. Imagine if you got, if the page was worth 10,000 votes, but you're splitting it and they're getting 5,000 each, and the way down the back, when something with 10,000, points or whatever, excuse me, might rank quite highly, because Google would consider those to be 2 separate pages. So that would be a problem for you. And to be honest, that's something I do all the time as well. I'm just quite lazy at times. So you have to watch all these things. You get what I'm saying there? So this is the same page. Using either of those URLs will take you to the same page. But if they're considered 2 separate URLs, let's say Google was using as a factor the number of links to it, right? And so you had 10,000 links going to one page, 5,000 going to one page and 5,000 going to another page. When actually there are 10,000 links going to that page, but it can't see that. And 10,000 links, well, that'll be a lot. So it's worth recalling that in the early days of Google, the main thing it used to rank a page was the number of other pages that linked to it. If lots of people were linking to you, then you must be useful. Your domain name can help as well. So, if you have a bicycle shop, it's probably worth putting bicycle in the domain name instead of, Alakazam Mojo. You might think, great brand. Okay, Amazon doesn't sound like it's got anything to do with books, and it's very successful. But generally, if you want the search engine to figure out what your page is about, domain name can help as well. So if someone is interested in bicycles, and bicycles is in your domain name, that's probably a sign to Google that it's something to do with bicycles. Increasingly, location is becoming very important. And I think we looked at examples, or we talked anyway about examples. If I was to get my phone right now and search just for pizza, just say pizza, right? I'd probably, way up the top there, I'd get Apache Pizza. No. Okay, Google does know a bit about me, but the most important thing it knows about me when I do search for pizza is that I'm in Bishopstown right now. I am approximately 500 meters from Apache Pizza. And so if I'm looking for pizza, I'm looking for pizza that's close to me. So we have location. Some things are very sensitive to location. So pizza, someone's searching for pizza, they're interested in things nearby. If someone is searching for a pharmacy, again, they may be interested in ones nearby. So also certain products then may be associated with certain locations. So if you have a product or service, for example, that one of the selling points of it is that it's Irish, then you might want to go for a .ie domain name instead of a .com. If that Irishness is something that's a big deal, then you want to associate that with Ireland. So, you know, if you have handmade soaps, and if a big part of that is that they're, you know, made in Ireland, and Ireland's lovely, clean and wonderful and blah blah blah, then using the .ie will help you make that connection between Ireland and the product. It may even be worth your while, if the Irishness is that big a deal, actually hosting the site in Ireland also. Because you can have your .ie or your .com, whatever, you can still host it in Florida, you know, if it's half the price of hosting it in Dublin. But the search engine can work out from the IP address where the pages are physically located. And that might also have an impact if that Irishness is a big thing for you. And then the same thing goes for language. If someone is in France, then a page in French is probably going to rank that bit higher than a page not in French, even if they haven't said they only want French pages. Okay. Now, you would even see this. You also have things like the browser may have been set, the default language in the browser may be Polish, for example. There'd be a number of people in the class who would have their browsers set to Polish first and English second. And if you have a website that has all if two websites are equal in every way, but one of them has the keywords and it's in Polish, that might rank higher for that person. So that's another possibility. So you want to make your site easier to navigate as well. Obviously you want your site easy to navigate for humans, that's always good. But so you want to plan out the navigation based on your homepage, and then you can also have breadcrumbs. So breadcrumbs, I think they're poorly described, because a breadcrumb, the Hansel and Gretel were in the forest and they left breadcrumbs behind them. First of all, the breadcrumbs are the ones that were no good. The birds ate them, that's how they got lost and met the witch. But they left a trail behind them. But that's more of a history in a browsing sense, where you go to one page and you go to another page and it shows you which pages you went to. Breadcrumbs are actually a listing of where you are in the hierarchical structure in the directory. You see them in a lot of sites up top, where you have the home, and then if you've gone to bicycles, it'll show you we're in bicycles, and then if you go to rally, it'll show you that you're in rally, and then if you go to tires, it'll show you're in tires. But it shows you the point at which you are in the hierarchy in the directory. It doesn't list every page you've been to. So I think they're poorly named, never mind the fact that the breadcrumbs didn't actually work. An interesting one is you should allow for the possibility of part of the URL being removed. So if I use that example again, we have bicycles.com, bikes/rally/tires blah blah blah, right? If I do bikes.com/bicycles/rally/, right? Just that alone, there should be an index.html there that allows a person to see that section just from that part of the URL. Do you get me? Do you know that sometimes you see a URL and it's like nested things, and I don't think many people do it. I do it. If I want to go back, I might just delete the front part of the end part of the URL and just go to the kind of directory I'm interested in and hope that works. I think 90% of people don't even realize the address bar actually does something. So I'm not sure how making up URLs on the day would work for them. You want to prepare 2 sitemaps, one for the users, and there's a sitemap you can use for search engines, and there's a format that you make that in. So you want a good hierarchy, and you need to use, I mean, mostly text. I think you really should be using only text for navigation, really. Using images for navigation just is... there was a time when you had to do it if you wanted your site to look nice, but there's no excuse for that now. You want to put HTML in your sitemap, an XML sitemap, and have a useful 404 page. The 404 page is that page you get when you type the URL wrong. You know, it needs to say more than "feck off, loser, this doesn't exist." You know, you want it to say, "We couldn't find what you were looking for. Here's a link to the search map," or "You can search the site here," or "These are, you know, the most commonly searched things," whatever. Like, "You're wrong" is not very informative. So if in SOF 6007 your lecturer hadn't annoyed you enough already about having properly, perfectly structured HTML and XHTML, it also has an impact on search engines. So you'll recall that every tag that opens must be closed, and you have to nest things properly. It can be frustrating that even if you do the HTML wrong, the page still looks right, and so you might not detect that it's wrong. But it is important to get it right. If it's wrong, some of the semantic information that might have been available from the structure of the tags and the structure of the document may be lost. And so the search engine might miss out on some insight that would have been available had it been correctly coded. But another factor is that if the HTML or XHTML is a bit shabby, well, what does that say about the site? How authoritative is it? Is it top quality stuff? I mean, we all know that at least half of the stuff on the web is shite. And search engines make their money by trying to figure out what it is you want and then give you a quality source for that. And so they're going to have a measure of the quality. And if your HTML is dodgy, well, that says this isn't, you know, top-notch A-grade content. Similarly with the spelling, it's important too to have your CSS external to the page, because otherwise what content you have on the page will be diluted by all that styling information. So having said all of that and all the things you can do to make your site more attractive, or easier to find anyway, this slide is basically saying, you know, if you make a decent site, if you build it, they will come. And at the end of the day, if you are offering an interesting content that people want, you know, the people will come. You will get found. Okay? Uniqueness is very important. Not so much unique in that, oh my God, this is a super fantastic, way out there, unique idea, but just in terms of content. A website that, you know, copies and pastes things from other websites is of no value. It doesn't add anything. You know, you might say, well, I've spent hours and hours and hours finding the best content about this particular topic. Let's say you're big into surfing or something, and you're making a surfing website, and you've spent hours and hours and hours on all the surfing websites in the world, and you've picked the best stuff and you've copied and pasted it, and now it's all in one place. But I mean, you could have achieved the same thing by just having a page of links to those surfing pages. You might find if you go to the Open Directory, that actually that list of 20 best surfing sites is already there. So you're adding nothing to the web. And so Google has a very low threshold really for duplicated content. It's just not interested. And if anyone can figure out that your stuff is just copied and pasted from somewhere else, it's Google, like, or any of the search engines, it's just, it's not that valuable. What does it add to the to human understanding or knowledge? Like, nothing. No, so you want text that's easy to read. You want to try and stay organized around the topic. I was talking about, it's a long time ago now, but I was talking about how if your page is about 5 different things, it won't be as highly, it won't be as relevant to someone looking for any one of those things. So if you have 5 different things on your page, you might be better off having 5 separate pages about one thing each. You might think, well, the page that has more on it is more useful. Yeah, but if someone is only looking for one thing, it'll rank lower than the others. And obviously you want to, create the content for your users and not for the search engines. There was a few companies that they were like kind of content on demand. They would look at the excuse me. They would look at the main things that people were searching for on Google. So I don't know, so if there was an episode of Glee where all of a sudden Raisin Bran muffins or something were the new cool thing, there might have been a mad rush to Google on recipes for Raisin Bran muffins or something, right? I just made that up now, but you could see that happening. You could see that all of a sudden there's a spike in looking for something. And so what these people would do is, okay, Raisin Bran muffins are hot like today, and then they would pay someone maybe like $10 to write an article that hit those keywords. So if someone's looking for recipes for Raisin Bran muffins, they'd say, right, they'd have a kind of an army of people on the web who would kind of, bid for these things or whatever. And so for $10, someone would go away and come up with a recipe or write the recipe. Well, this is the thing, you see, they would just go away and, mostly just kind of copy and paste and, paraphrase stuff from Google and other places, rather. But then they would produce a page about Raisin Bran muffins to get traffic. And then they'd make money then from the ads. So they were all about building the content for the search engine. And, things like how to tie a bow tie or something, So the articles would generally have been quite poor, but they would have been, models of search engine optimization, because their whole purpose was to get traffic. The content was secondary. And so Google had a problem with those because it was just poor quality. And it did its homework for a while and then modified the algorithm so that those people just were nowhere. I mean, they were wiped out overnight as a business, because Google was just having none of it. Because what they were providing was of no real value. I'll just show you what this means here. So you want to write better anchor text. You see a lot where you say, well, I'll show you an example. So some people say, click here to see a list of my best albums. When Google puts all of its information together, then it'll have that page, the page that you're talking about, the page that has your list of albums, right? And it'll have got to it using the keyword here, or the link here, which isn't very meaningful. But if you have see my list of best albums, and that's the text in the link, Well, there you have more keywords now to associate with that page. And again, that's a great hint for the search engines. If the link has the word, list, best, and albums in it, well, then that's really good. Those keywords are going to, be a big part of this page. And so again, you're giving a hint to the search engines as to what it's about. So you want to choose descriptive text, have it concise, format the links so that they're easy to spot. Like typographically, those default links in blue and underlined are ugly. So you can fix those in CSS. Obviously, you can change the colors. You don't want to change them like a typographer or a graphic designer would love to have the text all uniform and maybe say, well, if a person rolls over with their finger, they'll see that it's a link. If they roll over with the mouse or something, but you need to make your links easy to spot, at least, but they don't have to be gaudy either. Now, that's that part there. There's an issue we kind of mentioned before. Search engines can't see into images. So if you're using images for your buttons, for your navigation, it's not going to be able to see what's inside in those. And very often too, if you have stuff in JavaScript or in Flash, it might not see inside those. So for your navigation, it's probably not the way to go. Images are a big problem. Did I show you the example of the guy in Ballincollig that does the car stuff? There's a car valeting place in Ballincollig, and the home page is just all images. It looks great, but when you look at the HTML to see what Google sees, you've got nothing. This is a page that has a bunch of images on it. That's all it can tell. There's nothing about what it does. So because search engines don't see inside images and don't see the contents of them, you want to be wary of using them for important information or for navigation. The alt attribute helps, and so if you have the alt attribute set, it'll give some clue as to what something is about. Okay. You want to use descriptive file names in the alt text. Always supply the alt, and there's an image sitemap file as well, which, to be honest, I forget what that's about. You can look that up. So you don't want to put your important text inside in graphics. I remember once when it was hard, when CSS wasn't really, I think it wasn't actually around even. It was I used to always struggle with making text lay out exactly the way I wanted it, And I noticed that the WIT website, when you resized the page, it didn't matter how wide or narrow you made the page, the text always stayed perfectly lined up, And I was saying, well, I wonder how they did that, how they made the text behave. Because, when you stretch a window, the text will go out and it could be all over the shop. And I realized that the entire text of the page was one big GIF, which is not the way to go. Do you mean? So a human could read that, but no machine could. So you want to use descriptive file names. Again, I'm very lazy at this myself. I kind of image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, image 5. Again, if you've only got a couple of characters in which to describe what something is, and if you choose Eiffel Tower, then that's maybe a very good sign that those keywords are a big deal for that image. So yeah, sometimes search engines include also images from a website. So if you search for pizza, you get lists of places to buy pizza. You might see images of pizza, and you might see some pizza recipes. So if you have well-chosen alt attributes, that can help the search engine to show your images. And obviously if you have a you know, a title like that or whatever, that will help too. It's just in the div there. No. So the meta tag is still useful, but it's, you know, it was abused so much that people tend not to use it so much. No. This is, I'll probably stop after this point, but this is, I think, one of my points I'm always making in SOF 6007. And it's subtle, but it's important. When you have a H1 and a H2 and a H3, if you have, you know, a H1, a bunch of H2s, and inside those a bunch of H3s, right? Heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. That tells the browser that the heading 1 should be like in big text. The heading 2s should be kind of, you know, quite big but not as big, and the heading 3s might be only slightly bigger than the regular text and in bold or something. And so visually, when you look at the page, you can see that's the heading 1, that's the heading 2, and that's the heading 3. And you can see the sections. It's possible, for example, using a font tag or even just using divs to recreate that effect so that visually it would look the same without using heading 1s, heading 2s, and heading 3s. But you're missing out on an awful lot there, because heading 1s, H2s, and H3s, they provide a machine looking at the page with information about the structure of the document. So if you have heading 1 is about bicycles, if you have a heading 2 that says maintenance, and inside that there's a heading 3 that says gears, even if in the gears section you don't mention bicycles or maintenance, the search engine or a machine looking at that page may be able to infer that that's about the maintenance of gear. That's about, you know, gear maintenance in bicycles, because one is a subsection of the other. We call that like semantic information, semantic tags. So if you have the document properly structured, it means that connections between the information and the hierarchy and the structure of the document can be revealed to a machine looking at it. And that can be really important. You should even do that in Microsoft Word. You should always use the H1s and the H2s, the headings and the subheadings, rather than just doing your headings in bold. If a person who was blind or who had difficulty reading was using a machine to read that tagging would make a huge difference to them. So use headings, yep, and for your robots.txt, these are this is a file that says to the search engine, ignore these pages. So search engines are only interested in quality stuff. If you're the author of the site and you're saying, actually, you know, these 20 pages here aren't worth looking at, well, if you think they're crap, that's information a search engine can use. So you shouldn't really be using robots.txt though. If you have a site that says going to have 100 pages and you've 10 of them done and the 90 are sort of like under construction, that's very shabby, and it's going to drag down the quality, you know, factor of your website. If you just have the 10 pages, then just publish the 10 pages, or wait till you have all 100 and then publish it. And you definitely don't want to use robot.txt for secure stuff. You don't want to put something really confidential on the web and then say, oh, it's okay, no one will find it because I told the search engines not to go look there. You know, I mean, you know, it's like, you know, saying, you put a sign on your door, you know, don't look for the key under the flower pot and, you know, on the third one on the left. Okay. No follow can also be useful in terms of affecting the quality impression for your site. if you link to shite, that'll affect the bot's perception of the quality of your site. If you put no follow and links, then the search engine, the crawler, it won't go from your page to that other page, and so then you won't be associated with that. You often see that some sites now, they say, Hyper Mega Global Corp takes no responsibility for external content on external links. So they might link to something, but they're saying it's nothing to do with us. But you see, you could see how it could be a problem. Linking from one place to another. People don't like what's there. That can affect you because you sent them there. So we'll leave it there. So, and I'll do something different altogether then in the next class. I'll have these notes online anyway, and you can, most of it's fairly straightforward anyway. And the guide from Google that I emailed you way back earlier in the semester, that's very good, and you can download that anyways at your leisure also.